So ranging and distance, I talked about practicing with the punching bag. If you're going to break out a new sword, especially if you're going to go to a tournament, don't break out a new sword, but if you have to, range it in. Go to your punching bag, go to your wall, go to your some kind of post, I don't care, and make sure you know what your distance is. Because if I don't know how close I have to be to hit him, I'm going to be hitting his shield. I have no idea what I need to do. So I recommend 36s. It's obviously up to you what you want to use. I would say no more than 38 for sword and board, which is why I'm not teaching with that thing. That's really just a ditch field kind of fishing sword where you're just kind of doing that. It's really not great, but I broke my short, so that's why I'm using it. It's really one of my Florentine offhand swords. So make sure you range your swords in. And then in this part, we'll talk about how to close. You let someone close with you, what happens when they close with you, and then what will you do. So when you approach a fight, after you've fought someone a couple times, you pretty much know what they're going to do. You know, you'll know they're going to try to high cross me, they're going to try to ass wrap me, whatever. So when you approach them, know that they're going to do that, and then figure out what you're going to do to counteract it already in your head. It's like poker. Knowing what they're going to do is more important than knowing what you're going to do. If you know what they're going to do, you can react to it faster. And like 80% of people are just going to throw the same thing over and over again, especially if it worked on you once. If it worked on you once, then they're like, oh, I know it works on him, and they're going to try to use it again. So just go in knowing that. As far as ranging goes, so if I'm fighting him and we're right here and we have distance, you know, I can't do much from here. My options are kind of limited. Pretty much what most of Amp-Guard does is get right here and then throw this silly old high cross that I hate. It's an okay shot, but if you throw it more than, say, half the time, more than 25% of the time, I would put it in the refrigerator and bring it out later after you practice these other shots you learned today. It's an okay shot, but the other stuff is going to work for you much better. But so, the question now is, what do I do to get here? Because this is where you really want to be, is right here, because all kinds of avenues open up for you. So here's what you do. You're in your typical stance, you're approaching someone, you slide this back foot up. So this doesn't look much different than this. It looks almost the same to the person you're fighting, but your range has just gone way up, and they don't know it. So you're fighting them, and you're swinging shots, you slide that foot up, and then your range has gone way up. You can do whatever at that point. But if you stay here, you're limited. You can't do much because your back foot is holding you back. So you need to bring that foot up. For fighting Florentiners, that's especially good. They're coming at you, swinging shots or whatever. You're kind of standing back, let them swing. When you slide that foot up, you've got range on them now. They just don't know it. So that's a big secret. And now that you know it, watch people's back feet. They're sliding it up. They're coming. So never close like this. So if I'm going to close on him, don't step. Because if I step, look what happens when my right foot's forward. Yeah, my hip. It's just totally... So it looks kind of dumb, but do it anyway. Just slide the whole time. And if you're going to circle someone, which I highly recommend, then go ahead and slide this way. Keep them going. Don't cross your feet up ever, and don't step ever. Those are the two things you don't want to do, because they'll get you killed. Unless you're running down a pole arm, and then you just have to run really fast, so you kind of have to. So that's pretty much the deal with ranging and distance. Make sure I didn't forget anything. Okay, so then the question is, we already talked about knowing what he'll do, and then the question is, do I let him close? And the answer is, you can. Also, what to remember when you're closing is, watch this. Do that. And let me tell you why. Okay, so I'm here with him, and I'm trying to throw sky hooks on him, and I'm at the bottom. I can't really get it over. It's trouble. If I just slide my hand up like that, I can get it over a lot easier. You'll find your hook shot, your sky hooks, and your ass wraps are easier at closer range when you just choke up on your sword. So that's another thing to watch for with really good fighters. If you see them choking, they're coming. But before you start going for a close, go ahead and choke. And then when you get here, you'll have ass straps open and top sides open that they're not ready for, and you won't have to reach so high to throw it. You know, it'll be much less. You have a lot more tip control, which brings me to, how do you hold your swords? Yeah, so pretty much everybody's thumb out, and the reason why you do that is for tip placement. You have a lot more control when that thumb is out than you do if you're like this. Your wrist hurts a lot more and you lose a lot of control. That thumb, your thumb out like this or even off to the side a little bit guides your sword for you, and it puts it where you want it to go. So I would recommend that. That grip is very good. So that is ranging and distance. We'll kind of spend some time here talking about the press, even though that gets into a little bit about shot selection. So if I'm fighting him and I want to close that distance, I do exactly what I mentioned. I slide my foot up and then I get right here with him. And most of the amp guard doesn't know what to do with when you're shield to shield with him. Don't shield bash, but you can shield press or shield rub. I don't care what you want to call it. As long as you're not bashing, if you're right here, that's really not bashing. And then you have here, all kinds of shots open. And people don't like you in their personal space. It makes them nervous. So get in their personal space. Most of the amp guard doesn't do that and they're not used to it, so it'll throw them. So that's important. But that's how you close that distance. Slide that foot up, or the other one is just jump it. So you let your left foot lead and just leap forward and get right here. Do whatever you want to do from there. We'll talk about those shots later, but those are the ways to close. So I would recommend, if you don't press very often, then work on pressing often. Especially if you don't press often, when you go home, you'll throw the fighters that you fight with off a lot if you press them, because they're not used to you pressing. Especially if you're a back pedal fighter. They really won't be ready. So I think is the next important thing, because everything I told you so far with ranging and distance and defense, with the gangster lean and all, the way you defeat those things is by faking. So now we'll talk about the different kinds of fake, what I call like the ultimate fake or the primary fake, and then we'll go into a few other foot fakes and stuff like that. So, and then we'll practice both ranging and distance and some of these fakes. So one of the best fakes and easiest fakes to do goes like this. That's all you have to do. Just punch down kind of towards your groin, right there, and then, so if I'm going to do that to you, I'm going to come up, I'm going to punch down. Look what he did. What am I going to do? Damn right. Right over. And that's all I did was this. What if he didn't do that? What if he knows I like to go for that shoulder? He opens up, I can come down here, come out. He comes high, go down here, come out. So that fake is so easy. Oh, don't fake new people. They're not going to react to your fakes. So you can sit here and throw all kinds of crazy stuff that you want, and they're just going to stand there and like swing at you, because that's all they know how to do. So make sure you use your fakes on who they're appropriate for, and then just give it a good, come up high, low, whatever their shield does, you can react to it. So that's one fake. If you're fighting Florentiners, there's a couple ways to approach it. Always stab them. That's the main thing, but sometimes they're looking for that, so they're going to block it, or try to range or whatever. Again, you'll slide that foot up, like I already talked about. But if you fake out towards their arm, they're very worried about their arms getting hit, so they'll go to block that. Just go ahead and stab them after that, right in the stomach, chest, whatever. The other one is to pump one stab right here, and then go ahead and give them a stab to finish them off. Because what they'll do is, if you go like this, they're going to go, and then they just opened up a whole range of stabs for you. Give them another one. Get them reacting to what you want them to do. There's that fake. The next fake that I like to use, a lot of people like to throw this shot. I don't really recommend that shot, but it's a good fake since a lot of people like to throw it. Go ahead and just bring your hand down to here, and they'll be like, oh, I know this shot, and they'll adjust to it, And then after they make the adjustment, you'll do the same thing. You'll come across and go. And see, he didn't even adjust to it, and I still got over. So it's like a press move.
So it's down and up.
And then over the top, yeah. And if you're gonna press hard with it, go ahead and choke. Come down, and then just go over the top. All you need is to see something. If you can see it, that means you can hit it with your sword. That's the whole point to a fake, is just to get that little opening you need to hit them. And that's why sword side hips are very vulnerable, because you can almost always see them. And that's why we do our best to keep them back in a way.